Well, here we are again in NASCAR controversy. A noose found in Bubba Wallace's garage stall. Flying damn Confederate flag over Talladega. Lining the street outside the track with Confederate flags. Well, and I swear I wasn't going to dive back into the subject matter again, but people keep pushing this to the forefront, so I have to keep addressing it. When I was young in my career, I had a situation at work one day and I had to go talk to HR. And the HR manager asked me why was I such an angry young man. And I pointed out the window and said, because I have to come to work every day with people that got those on the back of their truck. And it was a truck with a big old Confederate flag with the old style rear window screen decals. And this was a white gentleman from Kentucky, the HR manager, and he looked back at me and he thought about it for a second. And he didn't say anything else because he suddenly realized, yeah, that might not be something I want to see every day on my way to work. And to have to go out and interact with folks that would fly that flag. That was 20 years ago. That was 20 years ago, and we're still dealing with this shit. And, you know, I'm a North Carolinian. I've lived in the state on and off for 40 years now. And sightings of that flag come and go. It ebbs and flows every few years. And there are people who, I guess they really do think it's their heritage in some sort of way, despite the fact that the Confederacy didn't last 5 full years. But that's their heritage. And it's like, yeah, okay. So my ancestors all traced to slave states, all of which were, except one, in the Confederacy, and the one that wasn't was Maryland, which of course was under martial law. And that's probably the only reason why it remained in the Union, because Lincoln didn't want to have enemy states on both sides of them, which, you know, it is what it is. I'm not going to comment a whole lot on the noose. That situation will play itself out, and I hate to say this is not the first time a noose has been discovered in somebody's toolbox or work area where black men are concerned. Frankly, it's something we deal with from time to time and has been for a long time now, as a symbol of intimidation or a way to get someone's goat, so to speak. And some people think it's funny. They think it's just a little joke. I didn't mean nothing by it. But obviously it's nothing to laugh at or play with. As to the flag and flying the flag, you know, free country, as they say, First Amendment, all that kind of nonsense. NASCAR is a private company and they can control what they do within the confines of their speedways and events. But if people want to fly the flag over it or outside or whatever, that's their business and they're free to do that. I don't have to agree with it, but it is what it is. What I would say is that the older I get and the more I think about this situation and the symbology behind that flag and people trying to explain it away as harmless or just their heritage or whatever, it's just silly. I mean, that country was not the United States of America. That country no longer exists. That country tried to uphold a way of life that everyone knew was morally wrong, but they tried to keep to it for quote-unquote economic reasons, which I get it, free labor. Yeah, but morally they knew it was wrong. The whole of the United States knew it was wrong. The United Kingdom knew it was wrong. Everyone knew it was wrong. They tried to justify it by saying, well, Africans aren't really people. Black people are, you know, they're closer to being animals. They tried everything. They tried to use scripture to justify it. They tried to rewrite biology to justify it. At the end of the day, everyone knew they were wrong. And rather than acknowledging that and moving on and saying, you know what, that's a dark chapter in our history that we don't need to revisit, everybody wants to fly this thing like it's, you know, like it's peach cobbler. You know, there's a lot of things that are endemic to the South and the Southern culture that we can all share. and revel in and be happy about. I mean, I love sweet tea. I love peach cobbler. I love blackberry cobbler. I love collard greens and pig's feet and barbecue and these things that we have in the South that bring us together, these things that we gather around and share and enjoy as people. That flag ain't one of them. And that flag is a known divisive thing within the South. Mississippi and Alabama altered their state flags to include it specifically for that reason, because it was about divisiveness. It was about them not wanting to be a part of integration. Sorry, I'm ranting here and I'm trying to control my emotions, but we need to get past this, and people need to let it go. I mean, and again, if you want to fly it in your private place, that's your business. But if NASCAR chooses to say, you know what, we don't want it in our place of business, if you're a NASCAR fan and you just absolutely got to have that flag, you know what, exercise your right as a consumer and choose not to consume NASCAR's product. Guess what? I bet you NASCAR will be just fine without you. I can fly above it or I can choose to dive in, and for the time being I'm choosing to dive in, but at some point I may just get tired. I mean, this is my everyday life. I actually had someone pull up at my neighbor's house with a Confederate flag flying on the back of their pickup truck, and I was out working on my yard at the time. I just stopped what I was doing and I just stood there in my yard and stared at him. For him to think that he would never see a black person while he was flying that flag on the back of his truck was a fallacy in his mind. And I don't know if he actually felt shame or if he felt shame that I would call him out on it. But in either case, you know, and maybe he didn't know I lived there. Maybe it was purely coincidence. But I don't really believe in coincidences.